let's go in and understand the wastewater treatment and purification. We must come to the understanding that freshwater pollution is one of the worsening environmental issues in developing countries. This was documented by Anasaki and others in 2013 and by Yemi and others in 2016. Commonly associated with nutrient, organic and inorganic loading, alteration of hydromorphology, and habitat degradation, wetland systems are known to play a very critical role in diluting and purifying wastewater and other effluent discharges from settlements and other areas of waste that are located around a wetland. And most of these pollutions come from fertilizer use, grey water discharge into wetland, that is from residential areas, and such kind of pollution, which is typical even in our slum dwellings and even in some of these other areas that people live. And you find the people that constructed the residential houses did not put up good waste disposal measures. And most of this waste will end up in the wetlands or other river channels. Wetlands, we must improve water quality in nearby rivers and streams, and thus have considerable value as filters for future drinking water. When water enters a wetland, it slows down and moves around the wetland plants. Much of the suspended sediments will drop out and settle to the wetland floor. We have plant roots and microorganisms on plant stems and in the soil that absorb the excess nutrients in the water from fertilizers, like I've said, manure, leaking septic tanks, and municipal sewage. While a certain level of nutrients is necessary in water ecosystem, excessive nutrients can cause algae growth that is harmful to fish and other aquatic life. A wetland natural filtration process, therefore, can remove excess nutrients before water leaves a wetland, making it healthier for drinking, swimming, and supporting plants and animals downstream, and even using it for irrigation. Illustrated there is the water treatment and purification, where you have water being dissipated from upstream, and all the contaminants and sediments are filtered. While it is doing this, it provides a critical wildlife habitat for other biodiversity. And then once the water is cleaned by the plants that are within this wetland, where bacteria break down contaminants, and you have the saturated pit stores water, then clean water is able to move out of the wetland and flow downstream. So what are the biophysical indicators for quantification of wastewater treatment and thereafter the economic assessment? I have retaliated that this model does indirect mapping. So it considers the volume of wastewater or the volume of effluent discharge into the wetland as the key indicator of biophysical assessment. So the model actualizes specialization of the volume of water to harmonize this with the wetland raster and assessment. This model, I must say, is only applicable for vegetated urban wetlands. So what is the economic assessment? The model employs the avoided cost method. What is the avoided cost method in this case? We are saying the cost that any government institution or private sector that would incur while trying to treat water simply because the wetland is not able to function like it should. In summary, the model valuation of wastewater treatment and purification as an ecosystem service from vegetated urban wetlands considers costs saved from using other alternative wastewater treatment facilities or processes in the event of wetland and assessment is rendered ineffective and the services no longer exist due to degradation. So what are the data requirements in this particular model? There are few, there are about 5. One is the wetland raster. Number 2 is the volume of wastewater being discharged into the wetland in cubic meter. And this is based on the local expert knowledge. Average unit cost of wastewater treatment in the applicable currency, the feature area in meter squared, and the pixel area in meter squared. We are now ready for the model demonstration, where we'll be able to open the .exe file for this model, run it, and be able to visualize our product in QGIS. So we have our simple wastewater treatment and purification model Just like I've discussed in the data requirements, we have the first one, which is the input raster for vegetated wetland, and we have said this should be an urban wetland. Then you are able to input the values for the wastewater that is likely to grow through this wetland for treatment, the average wastewater treatment unit cost, the wetland area, the pixel area, and the output, where you'd want your output file to be stored. So let us go ahead and load the data. You realize we'll be working with, we're going to assume Kariba Dam is in an urban setting, and it's being used for wastewater treatment. So under the wastewater treatment, we load our Kariba Dam. Then we can input the volume of wastewater that is going through. Let's say it's 10,000 cubic meter. The average cost of treatment, assuming that this wetland was not functioning like it should, and the government has come in to instill measures to enhance the treatment of the water. Then we look at that average wastewater treatment unit cost that a government or any other institution would incur while trying to treat this water. So we can say per cubic meter, maybe it's costing them at around 1,000, maybe US dollars or Kenya shillings. Then we put the wetland area and the pixel area. Then define the output folder where we expect our output to be stored. Output data, I've selected that. Then it is now okay to run the model. It's a very short model, runs within a very short time. Once it's finished running, we can now go and visualize the model. So we open our QGIS where we had our previous models and add this wastewater treatment purification model. And it gives us, it's a one value per pixel raster. You can give it a color to be able to visualize it better. So at a per pixel level, that is avoided cost that you'd incur if this wastewater purification ecosystem service is no longer functional. So this now will be added to the flood control output so that we can be able to get, amongst other models that are yet to be run, so that we can be able to visualize and say that Kariba Dam is not a matter of the water that it stores for domestic or for irrigation or for any other use, but there are other services that contribute towards the value of Kariba Dam. Thank you.